These hatchbox programs, is that like these fisheries restoring
So
some of the fish
y-
population, or what is that?
years ago, when I first learned about it, my cousin did it on the Columbia River when he lived on the Columbia. So they're little back then. There were little green boxes. So you'd raise the little fry in those boxes on the river itself, like in your backyard, because he lived right on the Columbia. So for the most part, the fish and game would kind of leave you alone. They'd kind of give you the guidelines and let you know how to do this and how to do that until it got up to the point of release because they don't want disease into the main river. So they
Mm-hmm.
would have to monitor those smolts and stuff. I don't know if it was probably at least 3 weeks before they actually got released, where they would come every so often,
And
say every
inspect
week
them.
or every 3 days or whatever, inspect them.
Okay.
So you was hands on for the people. They loved it. My cousin said it was great, and the survival rate was like way higher than like a regular hatchery because they were in their own environment. So it worked out really good. Now, why they don't still do it, there's both sides of everything. So people fight this and they fight that, and because everybody a lot of people want everything back to natural. Well, we have so many people now
It's not
that
sustainable.
it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I'd love to have it all back, wild fish and everything too. But if I can make a hatchery fish work and lots of fish are out there and the community's making money and people are happy and they're catching fish and the motels are making money and the restaurants are making money because people are traveling and fishing, and I don't see anything wrong with that. It's not, in my opinion, again, it's not harming those wild fish, and it's been proven. I mean, there's another place out there called Hatchery and Wild Coexist. It's a new, you'll see it on Facebook. You can check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are all about that, and they're all about keeping everything, balanced as much as possible. And it seems it's working. It's just there's always going to be two sides to every story, And it's my bottom line is, if it creates more fish,
Where's the problem in that?
yeah, and they're not like all jammed up into a spawning tributary and competing with the natural or native fish, they're in a hatchery, then I don't see the problem with it. But, I don't know all this story on both sides either. So if I was actually hands on in there, then I could have more of an opinion on that. But that's just kind of what I see.
Do a lot of people push back on hatchery fish?
Oh, yeah. Huge pushback.
Is that just like what? It's weird hearing you say that because why would that, like,
I know
you think a fish is a
because
fish?
they're so set on just having a wild fish in the system and nothing touched by man.
Hmm.
But in order for that, in my opinion, again, in order for that to be possible, the population has to change of people because we can't be everywhere into these spawning tributaries and stuff, living and walking and whatever, and expect that to happen. 100 years ago, there was nobody walking in those tributaries, but maybe once a year. There was just not as many people,
Yeah.
so you didn't have that happening. You didn't have people sucking water out of those creeks at the rate they're doing now. So there's a lot of differences that just aren't. I mean, I just don't see how
How you'd go
that
back to
wild
that?
fishery is gonna thrive in this day and age
Are there
without some help.
there are obviously identifying markers then between a hatchery fish and a?
Oh yeah, they clip the little fin like on a steelhead. They clip the adipose fin on the back, the little tiny one,
Oh, okay.
and they do the same on Chinook salmon in some places. But like coho, because coho looks so much like a steelhead, they had to do something different. So they do a maxillary clip, which is the little piece right on the back of their jaw, right here where their jaw opens and closes.
Okay.
There's a little piece right here. So if they have a fork in the river, they'll clip the right side for that fish that returns to that side of the river, or say like the Trinity is a tributary to the Klamath. So when they go up the Trinity, those fish are clipped on the right side because of fish pointing upstream. When they go to the Klamath, they're clipped on the left side.
Oh, that's interesting.
Same thing on the Rogue. If they're going up the Illinois, they're clipped on the right. If they're going up the main stem of the Rogue, they're clipped on the left. So that's how they distinguish on the coho side for hatchery fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the only identifying marker.
Well, if you take them and dissect them and stuff, they say there's different markings. A fish by growth looks just like a tree. So when you cut a tree down, they have the growth marks inside.
The little rings.
A fish does the same thing. So they're saying that under a microscope, if you look at a hatchery fish versus a wild fish, they're saying that they can see the line differences in them, which could be true. I mean, I haven't looked at them that closely. I have seen them, pictures and on videos and stuff like that. And sometimes they do look a little bit different. But taste-wise,
yeah,
I don't think you're ever going to tell the difference. So, again, if it makes people happy and they're getting out there and doing it instead of doing other bad things.
Where's the harm in that?
Yeah. So